It's still your favorite and an award-winning program, Early Exchange, where we shape policy and advance development with our conversation. Earlier, we looked at the IMF bailout to Ghana to the tune of $360 million and the impact of that on the Ghana economy. And now we want to look at the impact of artificial intelligence on the music industry. The AI is becoming the rave of the moment. But now the question of copyright comes in, that who owns the copyright when it comes to the use of artificial intelligence in music production. Recently, three record labels are to sue some music developers as regards unauthorized use of AI in making of some music. What will be the impact of these on the music industry, and what can be done to ensure that when it comes to the human element of music production, AI is not being seen to be a threat rather than a blessing? Yes, shortly, our guest will join us to have this conversation. So let me start with the new face of the team, Shade. How you doing?
Good.
You know, we're in a time where artificial intelligence is taking over everything, not just music industry, even
Yes.
our job media. You are
Of
aware
course.
recently,
Yes.
you've seen
Education as
newscasters,
well.
a lot taking place in the tech industry. And now it's of concern in the music industry now because of recent, a conversation has to do with the copyright of music. And when you have copyright, for people or artists who are owners of this music, they're entitled to royalty. But the question comes in, when you deploy AI into music production, who owns the copyright? And so YouTube is trying to do something now, which is to approach some of these music developers to ensure that they have the copyright to some of these things, so that in the use of their AI tools, there won't be conflict of interest, and also the business interest of the artist can also be protected. What do you make of this trend?
Okay, so basically, I think that, as an artist, you are signed to a label. So whatever you do depends on the contract you signed. You understand that? But however, this is an experiment. I like to call it an experiment. It's not fully fledged, like this is going to happen. So it depends now on the artist, to probably look at the contract again. I think because as an African, you can be, you have rights to your music. This is you, you are live. So why is an AI image, why is an AI image, doing the work for you? Or is this a ploy, in quote? Is this a ploy, to, put aside, artists?
There's this concern where the word artificial intelligence is to aim human intelligence. But there's also this concern globally here that if that tool will not replace will not replace human, whereby in some instances, rather than, for instance, if I know Blessing is a music producer now, rather than approaching Blessing, I can deploy AI to ensure the music is being produced. And does that mean replacing the place of human when it comes to music production? Blessing, what do you think?
Well, since that's a hypothetical question, you used me as
Because I wanted you to react to you.
All right. So if I'm a producer and I see what's going on right now in the music industry, trying to use AI to do some wonders with music, yes, it would threaten jobs as it would threaten in other sectors. Let's not deny that fact. But the extent to which it becomes a threat depends on the producers themselves, because AI by itself would not run. AI by itself would not produce the music. There's also some human elements to it. So there's got to be some human input in that. Do you upskill to the extent that even when AI becomes the in thing, you're still needed? So that depends on the producer. I'll give you an example. When a certain kind of music came into being, it was the autotune, the use of autotune. So those who couldn't really sing very well, those artists who didn't have melodious voices, began to use autotune to sound nice. I won't mention names of any of them, but they know themselves. So they began to sound very nice and they got through to the market. At that time, those who could sing very well, some of them had issues with that. I'm like, oh, the autotune artists are making music seem like it's just something anybody can do. They don't really have that a natural gift, the talent. They're not so creative with it. But even those who are naturally talented could use autotune to make themselves sound better. So for me, it's not really about whether it's AI or not. It's what you do with AI and how you stay relevant. So if you come to me, I may say yes, but because I know what's going to happen, whether we like it or not, there's a revolution coming into the music industry. So preparing ahead of time to make yourself relevant is what matters. So I may take your deal, but because I'm relevant, I have skills that you still need. You need me even with your AI, because only your AI will be sounding very, very funny, will have the realness that you want to enjoy in music.
All right. I think the issue here is not just about the use of the tool, but now, if you look at the example of what happened with Sony Music that had to sue some of these music developers, is the fact that they didn't get the right authorization for the use of this copyright music in the deployment of that tools for their music production. What do you see to that?
Okay, so you have talked about producers still staying on the job and all that, talking about blessing, and I'm sure what
Wow.
you've
I didn't feel like a music producer. Wow. This comes to me for all your music work.
Maybe
I
that
think
would
the
be
focus now
a new
is
career
the
for Blessing.
copyright issues. So certain experiments have been conducted where online we've seen people try to use the voices of very popular artists to replicate sounds. So you impute the lyrics, you impute the kind of voice you want to hear, and then you produce music fresh from the start without the artist ever going into the studio. So someone wants to sound like me, and then you get TC Barra's voice, and then you get TC Barra to say those words in a certain kind of way. So I'm sure that is where the problem is. Copywriting, that might be an issue. So if I had to juxtapose that with what Blessing has said, you need the human element. You need someone to get in. Is garbage in, garbage out. That's what the computer systems work on. So you impute a source code and then you get result. So the producer has to tell the system, this is what I want you to sound like. So I want you to sound like TC Barra, sing like TC Barra. And then TC Barra doesn't need to come to the studio. So you hold the record label company, the producer who tries to put that. So yes, copyright in AI is achievable because someone has to distribute that music, right? So you have distribution platforms, various across board. I don't want to start mentioning names, but you could also track those distribution channels and ensure that there's no copyright infringement.
All right. Before I turn you to another music producer, let's get back to our guest who is waiting. Our guest is an expert in this area. We'll shift the conversation to Ife Hajagbe, who is the head of Operations Symphonic West Africa. Ife, glad to have you joining us on Early Extinct this morning.
Thank you very much. Interesting conversation, I must say.
Great. Which is why you are the right person for this conversation as well. So you're aware of what artificial intelligence has been of concern to every profession. Now we want to look at the music industry. This trend has been of concern, and you're aware of what happened recently where Sony Music and Universal Music has to sue some music developers for the unauthorized use of copyrighted music content as regards the use of their AI tools. What do you make of this trend, and what may likely be the impacts of the AI, ravaging the music industry?
There are pros and there are cons. And it just depends on who is involved and how you choose to use it. Now, if you are assigned to the majors or if they have exclusive rights to your works, and maybe you have limited rights to those works, so they make the decision. If you're an independent artist, you can decide for yourself if you want, to have a case where if you want to have a case, sorry about that. So if you want to have a case where you decide whether you want your music to be used by, say, YouTube to train their AI, that's fine. I'm sure that you can have a lawyer. I think this would be a field day for lawyers anyway. So you can have a lawyer actually look at the agreement that is being presented to you and see if it's something that actually pays you. If it's business, there are a lot of times when artists make music that never see the light of day. I mean, a lot of songs. If you ask established artists, they'll tell you, "Oh, I made some songs 5, 10 years ago, and they are already dated." So basically, what just happens is that you can, let the songs go for a very good fee that you think is worth it. I think a major advantage would be for artists that have, at some point or the other, had issues with their voices. I mean, if you choose Nigerian artists, for example, look at Tiwa Savage. There was a time she was actually not singing because she was trying to treat a virus, I think, that she said affected her voice. There was a time also techno had similar issues. And I think that this is an opportunity where you can, as the artist, actually write a song and use AI to produce the song and make amazing music. You could also work for artists that have become very elderly and cannot make music with the kind of energy that they used to. I mean, you would hear it in an elderly person's voice if the person was trying to sing. You would know, oh, this is not the Tiwa Savage you signed up for or the Yemi Alade that we signed up for. And so if it means that you can retain your youth through AI, I think it's something absolutely worth exploring. Now, for music rights, yes, the majors have to be careful, and the artists also have to be careful. Like I said, Fields Day for lawyers, look at your contracts properly before you sign anything. And I think everyone will be fine.
That is good for the artists themselves to look critically at the contract that they sign. But beyond that, or is this in the same line with it, the type of music that the artists' materials will be used for? Do they get to decide what type of music? For instance, an artist that is into a particular genre of music, and then the voice of that artist get used for another genre of music, different lyrics from what that artist would use. There are artists who are perceived to have, in quotes, clean lyrics that anybody can listen to, even children. You don't have curse words in the lyrics and all of that. So, for instance, I take the voice of that artist and the lyrics is different from what that artist would normally sing. Do you think artists would have issues with that? Are those issues that should be discussed with record labels, even as YouTube has approached some of them for license?
Issue because you are practically using the artist's personality, image, reputation. So definitely, these are things that you should look at. That's why I said you need lawyers to look at your contract properly and make sure that, okay, so I can't allow you to do this. This is the extent of what you can do with my voice. This is the extent of how far you can go with whatever it is that you're training your AI to do with my voice or my music or my personality. And this is what I get for this level of use. So definitely you can determine what the terms would be. What YouTube wants to do, what Meta wants to do, what ChatGPT wants to do is train their AI. So the more you use it, whether you're using it for free or you're using it for a fee, you're training the AI. So that's why even for now, some people they've not completely embraced ChatGPT. They're like, oh, you responded to my email and I know that it was AI generated. I'm not impressed by that. Or you applied, there are some words you're using and I know that human beings generally don't use this kind of words in conversation. So definitely this is AI talking. Some people, get irritated by it. Some people have mastered how to use the AI. They've trained it. So what they do is basically tell AI to do this thing, and then they still come back and edit it and give it a human face, and you never knew that they used AI. So it depends on what you understand it as. Are you using it as a tool? It's a useful tool. So basically, at the end of the day, it is about use. So yes, the artist has the right to determine how his image is going to be used, even with AI.
Okay, so if I seem to have an issue with this development. Yes, we've seen where policies, especially on a global scale, would have impact. Talking about the issues of copyright infringement, and then at that level you're able to put it in check. But in a country and a continent, Nigeria, and in a continent like Africa, where musical artists per se, their rights are not protected. We've seen artist deals go bad. We've seen artists walk out of contracts. There are no repercussions. And so, how can we even make the issue of copyright when it comes to artificial intelligence work when we've not been able to figure that out completely?
Okay, I wouldn't say that the rights of artists in Nigeria are not protected. I wouldn't say that. I think why we have the challenges that you see that makes it look like that is the fact that sometimes some artists are extremely talented, but when they're starting out, they have little or no knowledge about how to actually start. So a record label owner sees them and tells them, "Oh, I'm going to pay you this amount. I'll put you in this house, give you a car, and then we will promote your music and all of that." And it seems like a big deal because a lot of the time, some of them are actually starting from grass to grace, literally. So whatever it is they are being offered seems like a big deal. In fact, sometimes record labels would say, "Go and bring a lawyer." They'll say, "No, no, no, about anything, just sign me." That's what they say a lot of times when they're starting out. It is later when they have grown and they understand the music business that they start to feel cheated. So that's a different conversation for another day. But back to what you asked. Well, I think that we can always have conversations about these things. It's not totally impossible. I do understand your fears and they are completely valid. But you see, between you and I, AI does voiceover and you're still working and I'm still working. So I don't know if you know, I'm also a broadcaster. So I've never felt threatened by the fact that, oh, people can just go to some websites, pay a token and get AI to do voiceovers for them or something like that. There are still voiceover artists in Nigeria that, that survive, that succeed. So some of these things are not going to totally erode creativity or, sometimes artists would even maybe hustle to say, "Please, I beg, who is going to get my music, and if you want to use it, I use it, just pay me the money." Some artists are at that level. They are very creative, they are not ear popular, but they really don't mind. They just want somebody to buy their craft, and that's it. So if YouTube decides that they want to start with the bigger artists, I'm not exactly sure what they want to do with the content, but we would see. And I think that, of course, definitely, the majors are going to lawyer up. Definitely. It has to be something that will be beneficial to everybody down the line. Even before the issue of AI came around, we've had issues of, artists saying that the majors are not paying them what is rightfully theirs. So we hope that in this case, even if some of these majors reach an agreement with YouTube and they actually start whatever this project is, they actually pay the artists what they are due. That is the important part. If the artists know that they're going to get what is rightfully theirs whenever they use their music, they would start advertising and saying, "Please clone my voice and pay me for every time that you use my image or personality." I mean, there are websites right now where people say, "Oh, if you want a superstar to greet your loved one for you, you just pay to the website and the website pays that superstar." So if an artist knows that he's going to make money every time that his voice or image or sound or something is used, I think you are really in it for business at the end of the day.
All right. If you are quite aware we're at a time where AI made music is competing with human made music, and which has led to this concern about job loss for some people, for some practitioners or artists in that industry. How do you address this concern for this set of people, and what can be done to ensure that, like you said, you're a broadcaster and you have tools that can be used for voiceover? It means that if I need to employ your service, I might just decide to use my AI tool rather than paying you to do that. So for people who have this kind of concerns as regard job loss, how do you address it?
Okay, so I would say you should get with the program, whatever it is that your skill set is in the music industry. I mean, I suspect that some graphic artists would use templates, and the way a graphic artist would use templates will be different from the way I would use a template on maybe Canva or any of the free sites that give templates to people to just use. And when you see somebody that simply just uses that template without any skill, you will know when you see it. So if a producer, for instance, don't get scared that AI will take your job. Get to understand what it is that AI can do and use it as a tool. So it could just make your job easier or faster, or the extra touch is you. You are the person, you're a human being. There's always a difference. I mean, if you go on, say, TikTok, for instance, and you hear an AI generated voiceover, sometimes I find it very, irritating. Maybe because I'm in broadcasting, but you would know the difference. And you would know when you hear a human voice actually voice a project. So I don't think that, I still say, I don't think that AI is going to completely take out our jobs if we use it as a tool that it really is. So if you are in any part of the music business, do not be scared that your job will be taken. Just get to understand the tools that make your job easier. It's just like there are several apps for content creators to use in editing videos. But then there are still video editors and they still make money. And some of them probably use these tools, we don't know, but maybe they are able to use it better than just we mere mortals. So I think that you just get with the program and understand, learn to use it too, so that you can understand how it benefits your business.
YouTube is even having talks with the record labels. Recall that some time ago, artists like Billie Eilish and others had protested the use of their materials for AI-generated music. Why not go to the artists themselves? Why go to the record labels? Is that to say that this decision can be made by the record labels independent of the artists? And talking about business now, what's in it for YouTube? What they stand to gain?
Okay, so I don't work for YouTube, so I don't know what YouTube stands to gain, but I suspect that they're trying to train their AI.
This is for them. What are the opportunities that this could open up for them?
Okay, business, definitely. There must be a business advantage for it. Now, about the record labels making decisions for artists. If you're signed to a record label, they will make decisions especially about music that you have already recorded under them, that the contract between you and them covers. So that makes sense. If you are an indie artist, however, they will come to you directly, or your management, or whoever it is that you list as your contact person. So it's just the way that you have structured your career. Or if the music that they need was released when you were previously with a record label, then they will go to that record label, because the record, especially if the record label happens to own the masters of the song. So if you own the masters, they will come to you, or the record label would have to also come to you before making a decision. So it just depends on what your contract says. That's the way that works. But for YouTube, I really don't know what they stand to gain, but it must be a lot, and it must be, something that says business. And then if we look at it over time, YouTube has been, the kind of platform that if you actually use content that is not yours, they flag it. As in, even if you put up content and you don't actually inform them that it is yours, they could even flag it. So that means you are an artist, you put up a video and then use your own song as background to that particular YouTube video. You need to specifically write to your distributor, maybe like Symphonic or something, and say, you need to whitelist this channel to let them know that this is my channel and I can use my music on this channel. So I imagine that that's why they're actually talking to the record labels. They have to agree. If they don't agree, there's no deal. They probably have to then maybe go to an artist independently. But it's easier to deal with the majors because you then will be dealing with a pool of people. So it's more like dealing with an association, basically. If you dealt with an association, you'll be able to reach the members much more easily than just going to each member one by one. So that's the reason for approaching, a record label or a major, basically.
About, the positives about this experiment. Can you tell us the challenges that might arise, regarding this experiment?
Laziness. Artists might get quite lazy, and it comes with not necessarily everything AI, but if somebody is doing something for you, who uses 4-figure table pen for? who some people, so the artists might not be so keen on creativity because they know that it's a tool to do it for them, and why bother, really? So that's the one big thing. And we already have such challenges because, like one of your anchors said, the auto tune thing was quite. I think I was one of those people that there was an artist that was big, that his entire career was big on it, and I was one of those people that was like, can he just sing? So it's going to get to that point where people will not bother. All these voice coaches and all of that. They really, except if the voice coaches. Now, what I like, remember what I said about using the tools. So the voice coaches could as well be training AI so that AI sounds a little more real or authentic or human. So, but that's the first thing. Then number two, people stealing intellectual property. Even now that we're not having the issue, exactly having the big issues of AI or cloning people's voices, not, people are still nipping it in the bud. People steal music. You would go to some streaming sites and find that there's a legend that has like 3 or 4 or 5 accounts. No, he does not have 5 accounts. Some people are distributing his music for him. So that's why they put his name in different names. And people are legends in Nigeria in those days used to have multiple kinds of names, multiple variations of their names. So people just pick different variations and distribute their music. And this is something that streaming sites have been fighting, trying to fight fraud in the music space. We do have a plan that you can use one plan to distribute for multiple artists. We do as much research as possible to make sure that people actually have the right to distribute for the artists that they claim that they can distribute for. And sometimes, guess what? We ask the artist, does this person have the right to distribute for you? They say no. And we're like, goodness. So it happens, that already happens. Now with this, it's something that we would need to be a lot more careful about. It means that people can easily steal sound, steal music. Some people just pick an artist song and upload. Some people just pick a part of an artist song and claim it's a remix. And you never even took permission from the owner of the song before you did this supposed remix. So those are things that, we might have to be fighting, actually.
Well, we're still tuned into Early Exchange. And of course, we're having a conversation with Ife Amaje, who is an artist and repertoire and, of course, head of operations at Symphony West Africa. Just before that momentary detour, I was asking her a question about monetization. And I'm hoping that we could get back to that question. So, if you could hear me, if you can hear me, I was talking about monetization and the role YouTube has played over the years for musical artists and content creators in the area of distribution. And I was asking if, as a country, as a region, if we've put any measure in place to ensure that we have some checks and balance to protect copyright, content right of artists and content creators in Nigeria and Africa.
Okay, I will talk about music, which is my forte. And this is not to leave the content creators in the lurch. I mean, they are doing amazing work. But for music, it's important for artists, beyond going to distros to distribute their music and making it available for people and maybe stamping some level of ownership on it, it's important that you register with a PRO in your country. So for Nigeria, MCSN, they would help you collect royalties from radio stations, from public use of your song, just royalties that are not streaming royalties. MCSN will collect for you. But if you're not registered with them, you will not be able to actually receive those royalties. So sometimes the challenge is not the fact that these structures are not in place. It is the fact that artists are not aware that they should actually register with these organizations so that they can be able to take all of their money that might be lying around. Sound exchange, you need to do as much research as possible so that you don't leave any of your royalties lying around, basically. So there is access to, actually getting money from the use of your song. especially Nigeria and some other African
All right.
countries
If we're
too.
still on the issue
Every
of
country.
royalties, I would like you to address debate as regards who should receive the royalty for an AI generated music. Should it be the
Mm.
copyright artist or should it be the the content developer? And then you have the place of the software as well. There's been this global concern about royalty. Who should receive the royalty for AI generated music? How do you address this? And then do you think there's need for regulation or a stated kind of contract as regards the use of AI when it comes to the peculiar issue of royalty?
Yeah, about the last point, I agree with you. I think regulation would be fantastic. And I also think that the royalty should be shared. I mean, somebody developed the app or whatever AI tool that was being used. So it would be shared. And I think a higher percentage should go to the artist. Because it's as good as I made a song. But well, I didn't make the song. But you get what I mean. So it's still you're selling my personality and you're using my image to sell that song. So I should get, a good percentage of that song, just as good as if I actually went into the studio and recorded a song.
User experience. So the reason many persons will buy tickets, no matter how much they cost, to want to go to a concert, maybe that would be at the O2 Arena, for instance, or some other place, and it'll be packed full, is because they just want to see that artist of theirs that they've idolized. They want to see them perform. What impact will the use of AI have on concerts, the user experience, and will it have any monetary impact on the artist? Would it sort of reduce the value of an artist who perhaps have made a career for themselves out of using AI for their music, as to those who can actually give people that feel that they want at concerts?
Okay, I like your question because it goes to prove that AI cannot take over. There still has to be the human factor. And that's why I say, yes, the artist should not be lazy, should still be able to perform. But then maybe if you're old and frail and you still want to put up a performance, then maybe we'll be willing to go pay to see a hologram of you. Or maybe you're late like Whitney and we really just want to see Whitney perform again. We wouldn't mind going to pay to see a hologram of Whitney. But in this case, it is good that the artist learns to perform the song. I mean, if you're getting royalties from the song that was made by AI, please learn to perform that same song so that the song can have more life, more people can go and stream the music, and you make more money. So I think that there's the human factor and it can't be taken away, at least not for now.
Before we let you go, a song I want to do, but I won't tell you what I would use. But since you mentioned autotune, maybe you may not like it, but don't worry. I think I have the voice to give you something very nice at the end of the day. Thank you so much for being with us as we've talked about the use of AI for music. We didn't know what the response of the record labels, the YouTubers approached would be and what the artist's reaction would be. So I think it's an unfolding drama and we'll follow along as the drama unfolds. Again, thanks Ife for being on the show today.
The pleasure is mine. Thank you for having me.
It's been a wonderful one today on Early Exchange. So, Femi, maybe he's not a prophet. The show gets bigger and better. Indeed, it has gotten bigger and better. And even twice in a quarter.
Abuja.
Yes, Abuja and Lagos. Yes, where Abuja meets Lagos. So that was an edition we had on June 12th when it was Democracy Day. So now it has gotten bigger. So we're enlarging by the day. We also hope that development across Africa will also get bigger and better because that is the aim of SOUQ News.
AI would not replace the presenters for.
Oh no. I am scared because I guess the AI version of Femi's voice.
Really?
Yes, there is. There is.
We did an experiment with that. It was quite good. But it also raises these concerns we're talking about, if all you just need to do is give the AI the permission to use your voice, and then that is done. So rather than you doing your voiceover, spending time in the studio, then the AI does that for you. It brings efficiency, saves time, takes the burden off you that you have to see that in script. Even in fact, AI can script. You have AI tools now that can even script,
Your
if-
thoughts?
not just scripting, even do the editing, provide the video, audio, visual materials, and get everything
Yeah.
done. So we did an experiment with that, and then I was sounding as if I was trained in US, and I loved it.
Interesting. So what about you, Shadi? Would you mind that tomorrow on the news we're having an AI version of Shadi?
Open to new things, innovation. You understand? So if the opportunity comes, but then again, it's not my face. People need to see the real you.
Your face. What's house?
Even for newscasting now, it's being done. Yeah, even for newscasting now, reporting, or you just a bit of your voice, then you put it on the tool, then the script is there.
Yeah.
So the script is being read, and then you're using your voice. So it looks as if,
I don't think that it's a 100% success.
yeah, which is why it's important. One thing that Ife talked about is the issue of regulation. If, for instance, you've done a report, giving people the impression that I did the report. Meanwhile, I wasn't even aware. In fact, we had a case with Channels TV of a presenter who was supposedly used for a particular report, and it wasn't
false.
from that channel. I mean,
Yes.
from that platform.
Yeah, I think
So there's this sense of responsibility when it comes to the use of AI, which is why globally there's concern for the issue of regulation. AI is a good tool, but what if it falls into the wrong hands, or if they are being wrongly used? What will be the impact of that? And that's why globally there's this concern about the issue of regulation, which is why this conversation is also crucial.
All right.
Well, just to say goodbyes from my end, and then it feels like it's the break of dawn for United Kingdom, by extension England, with the emergence of a new prime minister. I wonder what the following years will feel like. Sunak leaving, and then one who has been described as a hefty lawyer.
It's even a matter of months now, not years, because
I'm saying assumption of office, and then eventually some of the policies that will be rolled out.
Especially for students, Nigerian students in diaspora.
Well, there's to share the conversation Monday or an early exchange, so you need to watch out for it. The show will begin at 8 a.m. West African time. We thank you so much for watching the show from Monday until Friday. Oh yes, we're happy it's Friday. Thank God it's Friday. Don't ask me why. Ask Femi who's wearing sneakers.
It was your birthday, so
Listen, please follow us on our social media platforms at SOUQ News TV on Facebook, on Instagram, on X, and be sure to drop a comment on YouTube when you visit the channel to watch this show all over again and other shows, other episodes of the shows as well. Drop a comment too on Facebook, on Instagram, and X. The conversation doesn't end yet; continues with your opinion as well. Thank you.
And what a way to wrap up the conversation for today and for the week. Don't forget, the conversation, like Blessing said, continues on our social media platform, and you can also do a catch-up on our YouTube channel. It's weekend, it's loading. TGIF, it's Friday. So I'll say enjoy your weekend as Early Exchange returns on Monday. I am Femi Ayodele. Thanks for watching. Enjoy yourself. All right, from Shadi.
Exchange, shaping policy, advancing development.